Hey, what's going on, everyone? It's Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com. Alabama has just defeated Mississippi State 41-0. Here to take your calls on the Bama Insider postgame show. Want to go over the stats as we kind of open up the game. Thanks for joining me. I appreciate it. Be sure and call in 205-850-0883. We'll take your calls right here on BamaInsider.com. Provide some observations tonight as well as in the morning on Sunday. Start with the goose egg. Alabama 41, Mississippi State 0. And we kind of look at the stats overall in this specific game. And I think what we saw in this game was Alabama completely dominated. You look at kind of, those first half statistics when Alabama had 333 yards of offense compared to Mississippi State's just 34. That was literally at the second quarter mark. I'm sitting here talking to Trey and he's just like, he's blown away by it. And you look at the efficiency by Mac Jones. Again, he had a rating of 198, 24 of 31. I'll take your calls in just a second. 4 touchdowns. You had Najee Harris run for 119. Devontae Smith, my goodness, 11 receptions, 203 yards for Smitty tonight. And then on the defensive side of the ball, we look at what happened on defense. Malachi Moore led the team as a freshman, 8 tackles. Guess who else is a freshman? Brian Branch. He also had 7 tackles as well. And then you have Dylan Moses. Then you have William Anderson. So Alabama's top 3 out of the 4 tacklers, are freshmen. And we saw a lot of progression from the defense, I think, overall. And, we'll jump right into our first call and we'll get it going and we'll take our first call right now. Hey, Rob, what's up, man? Appreciate you joining us in. Yeah, Rob, what's up, man?
I'm the first caller. Wow. Okay.
You're the first caller.
Dude, so Kyle, me and my wife are on the edge of our seats watching the Bama game just now, and we took the 11.5. Bama has to score, the second half, 11.5 bet. And I'm like, everything, you know how dull the second half was. Like the announcer kept talking about how the life, the announcer said at least 7 times how boring the second half was. Right?
It was a little bit painful, I have to be honest.
Yes, it was like uneventful, correct. And we had big money on that second half, man. Thank Patrick Surtain. Woo! Patrick Surtain won us some money.
Yeah, tonight. With the house call. Patrick Surtain
with
tonight
with the
house call. And they almost had another one as well. You almost had another one by Brandon Turner there in the later half of the fourth quarter. Rob, let me ask you this, Rob. When you look at this game, let's start with the offense. Did you see the same type of Alabama offense even without Jalen Waddle? It seems like they were trying to find some sort of rhythm. I know the production was there, but what's your take without Jalen Waddle?
I think it's significant. Look, I think honestly, me personally, I think Devontae Smith can do anything Jalen Waddle can do. To be honest with you, maybe better. Devontae Smith, and I don't know if they need more chemistry, but if Mac Jones keeps underthrowing, he's gonna get Devontae Smith hurt, bro. He had to stop like 3 different passes and fight. He even had to fight, and he would have thrown an interception if he didn't hit that one off that one guy's hand. He can't keep doing all these underthrows, man. He's gonna. You're putting your wide receivers in a bad position. Last week it was to Mechie. This week it was to Smith. Now, to me, honestly, I think the offense still is good without Waddle because of Smith, and Mechie's right there for support. But to me, it's Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones needs to. You don't see these other quarterbacks doing all these underthrows, and he's getting consistent with it, and that's what I don't like.
Here with Rob from Colorado. Let me put up your name. That's disrespect. I didn't even put your name on the screen, man. I should know better, man. I know who this is. This is Rob from Colorado, man. I'm sorry to diss you.
You always wish well.
Hey, you know what, Rob? Okay, so we got calling line is already blowing up. So before we move to the defensive side of the ball. Get the defensive stats for everybody. Your takeaway from the defense. What everybody is seeing right here on the screen, Malachi Moore, and you have Brian Branch, and you have William Anderson. All those guys, what do they have in common? They're all true freshmen at Alabama, up there for the leading tacklers. Overall, what did you see from this defense? I know Mississippi State, it's not the most dynamic offense, but you have a Mike Leach team coming in 41-0 against Mike Leach. I mean, you look at the fact that they only had 34 yards up into the second quarter, up into halftime. I mean, it's something I've never even seen before. What is your take on the defense?
I feel like our D-line played better. I feel like we had far more pressure. Now, I don't want to say there was a drop in competition because other offensive lines were just making us look like we weren't doing anything. So maybe Mississippi State's O-line isn't all there because their team literally is falling apart. But I feel like our D-line was great. Those freshmen are balling out, man. I like that swagger. I like that attitude they have. They don't care that they're freshmen. They're all over the field. They're not letting anyone so what? I'm a freshman, but I'm playing like a senior. And number 13, I hope he's not that hurt because he is everywhere.
Yeah, that's Malachi. That's Malachi Moore. Yep.
Yes, I like him. One more thing. I hope we can get Dylan Moses back to where he was 2 years ago against LSU when we beat them 29-0. If everyone can think back, how amped Wilson and Moses was. Any run play, Moses was decleating you. Because I went back and I watched that game, and he's like 50% where he was from that LSU game. I don't know if he was hyped because he was in LSU. He's from Louisiana, but if we can get him back to that, we're good.
Here with Rob in Colorado. All right, Rob. Well, thank you so much for being our first caller. I wish I could, you're our first caller. You get this, but tonight you're just getting props from me, man. So it's good to connect. I'm glad you got the new call-in line number, and thank you so much. I'm gonna move to my next caller, but I'm glad that second half covered for you guys. I'll be thinking about what you guys are doing on Smash Burger probably on Sunday or Monday. So thank you so much, Rob. I appreciate it.
Hey, I'm gonna have a good time from that bet I won. I'm having a seafood dinner tomorrow.
Yeah, seafood.
Paid for by Vegas. Hey, if you ever come to Colorado, I'm taking you to a restaurant called Blue Oyster.
Blue Oyster, cool. Love
best
oysters.
seafood in town.
All right.
Oh man, the owner's from the East Coast.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much, Rob. I appreciate it, man. You have a beautiful Sunday.
Same to you.
All right. That was Rob in Colorado. Bad enough leadoff, right? And I want to hear from you. Call line now opened, and we got a couple more lines available right now. Take your calls right now. Call line at the bottom of the screen, 205-850-0883. I want to hear from you on this defense. I mean, I think we've all been critical of this defense, and a lot of people have had things to say about the defense. But tonight, 41-0, when you kind of look at the overall defensive statistics, I'll take the next caller in just a second. But I mean, look what they did: 200 yards against a Mike Leach coach team. I get it. There's a lot going on against Mississippi State. But still, I mean, to be able to come out and do this, I'm talking about progression. You definitely see a lot of progression from this defense, in my opinion. Taking our next call right now. Hello, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Hey, man, it's Cam Best, Dothan, Alabama.
Hey, what's up, Cam? Thank you so much for calling in, man. 41-0, you're on the show. Take it.
Hey, yeah, man. I mean, I predicted a score of 100-0. I was expecting to see a very improved Alabama defense, and what did we see? I mean, people been talking trash about Pete Golden all year, and I think tonight he made his money. He's this defense, man. They really turned it out tonight. They done a great job, and I expect to see them to continue to grow and get better week after week as the competition gets better, So obviously we played a Mississippi State team that was kind of, really not loaded like a lot of other teams out there, like the Georgia team. But anytime that you can shut an SEC opponent out that, sometimes they throw for 700 yards a game, that's saying a lot. And, Alabama's defense, they can play with anybody in the country.
Now, tonight, Cam, I want to get your game ball on the defensive side, because I felt there was, a lot of these freshmen certainly stepped up, made plays. I particularly thought that if I had to give a game ball out, it might go to Phil Mathis. I thought he played, the way that we really haven't seen him play. I like Phil Mathis, but tonight I thought he did a fantastic job. When you kind of look at the defense, who really stood out to you?
Let's see here, man. I'd have to say Malachi Moore, man. it's really hard to, Patrick Surtain done a good job right there at the end on that pick six, but Malachi Moore, it's like Rob said, the guy's all over the field. I mean, you're running a zone coverage, and as soon as they get the ball, he's there. I mean, he's not playing man, but he reads that quarterback very well, and as soon as a receiver catches the ball, he's there waiting on it to knock it out or whatever, to cause a breakup pass that, possibly an interception. He's all over the field, man. And, Malachi Moore, man, he's just doing a great job. Man, I'm really glad to see this defense come along like this, man. It's really good to see.
All right. As we kind of look at the overall score tonight, Alabama 41, Mississippi State 0. Let's talk about real quick. I'm on with Cam from Alabama. The continued play of Mac Jones has been through the roof. 21 of 34, 291 yards with 4 touchdowns. Your take on Mac Jones, and of course hooking up with Devontae Smith 11 times for 203 yards.
Yes, sir. I mean, Mac Jones, that's Mac attack, baby. I'm ready. Hey, when he steps on the field, man, it's all about the Joker, So he's out there. He's ripping that ball, man. And, I agree with Rob. He's kind of throwing a couple of underthrow balls. But listen, hey, this guy is dropping them in the bucket, man. He's dropping dimes all over the field. I mean, how critical can you really get of a quarterback that he throws with so much perfection after a couple of plays that might have been overthrown but still caught? Hey, there's really nothing bad there. The guy is he's a front runner to Heisman. I saw it on the screen. ESPN had it roll across, him like fifth. And I'm like, are these guys watching the same Alabama football team that I am? I mean, this guy's like, he's ready to go pro, man. I mean, Trevor Lawrence, shoot, man, he's in the back windshield now. I mean, Matt Jones is rolling down the road, baby,
All right, Cam. Well, thanks for calling in, Cam. I got to get to my next caller, but I think you hit on some great points, especially on Mac Jones. I mean, certainly playing through the roof. And please call again next time. Appreciate the support.
Yes, sir. Roll Tide.
All right, roll Tide to you. All right, thanks, Cam. All right, that was Cam, and we'll take our next caller here in just a second. I want to get your thoughts on the play of Mac Jones. I think, like Rob said in the beginning, and just like Cam said, some of the balls I felt were underthrown. I felt at times that the offense didn't have that same rhythm that we've seen from Alabama during the first couple of games on the season. But I think overall, I mean, kind of when you look at what Mac Jones has done, I mean, it's quite simply amazing. But let's talk about Devontae Smith for just a second. 11 receptions, 203 yards, playing with that Jordan S mentality, 4 touchdowns. And you even saw Jalen Waddle on the side. Like, he was like, this is ridiculous. I mean, Devontae Smith completely playing at another level. We're going to take our next call starting right now. Hey, Hunter, what's up, man? Thank you very much for calling in. We got Hunter from Alabama on the line. Go ahead, buddy.
Hey, man, how's it going?
Good, man. Your take on the game. I mean, 41-0 getting the goose egg. I mean, you want to talk about the defense? You want to talk about Devontae Smith? It's your show. Take it.
Yeah, defense, man. I think we did a lot better today. I was kind of concerned earlier when I called in about the secondary, and I think we played better. I think we played more to the Alabama standard tonight than what we have in previous games. I think we're seeing improvement game week after week, and in the second half, and specifically the fourth quarter. What about Ronald Williams, man? He came out and made 2 fantastic tackles right there at the midway through the fourth quarter.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that was a DeMarco Hellams. I mean, with a boom on a couple of those guys, it was like back-to-back plays. I thought the same thing. I mean, I've always knew that DeMarco Hellams was going to be a thumper, but to see him come out in action was fantastic. What about Tim Smith? When Tim Smith literally got that guy and he just smashed him into the ground. Trey and I were talking, and it was kind of like the Alabama old defense kind of sending guys out and knocked out the quarterback. And I mean, the defense, I thought they played a little bit more inspired. And then how about this? When we look at the defensive stats, Hunter, you kind of look at, I always like to talk about quarterback pressures, right? And quarterback sacks. And Nick Saban doesn't agree that sacks really equate to quarterback pressure. But I mean, look at the quarterback pressures. You had 2 from Christian Barmore. You have 2 from Christian Harris. I mean, they're all over the field tonight. There was 8 quarterback pressures. And last week's game against Tennessee, there was only 1. What do you think about Alabama's pass rush and how they attacked the quarterback tonight?
Well, we've seen the freshman Anderson. get 3 pressures on the quarterback in the first half, and so that was good from that perspective. And then and then we've seen a little bit from in one play where the safety dropped down and got some pressure. So so we did a little bit better on that tonight. Christopher Alley got that sack there. So, I mean, I think overall it was better. And to go on the opposite side of the ball for a second, even though, Mac was throwing those passes a little bit underneath, in the first half, this game would have been a lot bigger of a lead. I mean, it would have been 60-something to 0 had it not been for those pass interference calls on Mississippi State. They did that intentionally, I think, to keep us from scoring. Because on 2 of those, we would have scored if he would have caught the ball. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the game plan was not to get beat from, over the top from Mississippi State, and Alabama certainly did that. I mean, the way that Mac Jones was able to connect tonight to Devontae Smith was fantastic. 11 receptions, 203 yards, 4 touchdowns. I mean, remember that game that he caught 5 touchdowns against Ole Miss? I mean, that was kind of like reminiscent of that. But, even the look on Jalen Waddle's face was incredible. But I think big props to the offensive line. I mean, they continue to play at such a high level overall. All right, Hunter, why I got you on the line. Give me a quick take on Bryce Young. I know it was a small sample size, got the fumble in there. I mean, what's your overall assessment of Bryce Young? I know it's not a large sample size, but just kind of give me some observations on Bryce Young, the freshman quarterback.
I got frustrated there for a second because they need to give him a pass or two, even if it's just a short pass, to give some confidence. They kind of just ran the ball. Give him 2 little chip passes to get his confidence up, and then let's see what he can do from there. We really haven't seen what he can do from a pass perspective yet. I mean, I watched him a few times in high school, and I know he's a capable passer.
Yeah.
But in the college ranks, we just hadn't seen that. So, like you said, it's too small of a sample size for me to really have an assessment on that.
All right, cool. Well, thank you so much for calling in, Hunter. Please call again next time. Thank you very much for calling in the show tonight.
Thank you. Roll Tide.
All right, roll Tide to you. All right, that was Hunter in Alabama. I really appreciate Hunter. You called this morning, and thank you so much, Stephen, for becoming a new YouTube member. Appreciate it. You can click the join button at the bottom of the screen. Also, all super chats certainly help. We got to pay for the call-in line and other things. Got to make sure that Trey Yanity is fed as well. So I appreciate the super chats as well. Right here on the show, we'll have Nick Saban's press conference posted on our YouTube channel momentarily, and we appreciate you guys being with us. We got plenty of callers on the line, so we'll take our next caller, and that starts right now. Hello, good evening. Thank you for calling in. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
It's Robert from Mobile.
Hey, what's up, Robert? Good evening. I appreciate you calling in. 41-0. There's a lot of positives, and I think you could, be critical about a couple of things, but it's your show. Take it.
This is the first game of the season, first game in a long time that we honestly think honestly feel like the defense outperformed the offense. I can't remember the last time I thought the defense outperformed the offense. Because this was a game that was tailor-made for Alabama's defense to finally have a good showing. Mississippi State's offensive line has been atrocious their last several games, which LSU's fans should be awfully afraid that this team scored a bunch of points on you, and Auburn scored a bunch of points on LSU. And when the offensive line really it's been terrible.
Yeah.
So like you said, the pass rush was the main thing. We were all saying all week long, if this team is going to mount a pass rush, you got to do it now, because this is the Mississippi State's offensive line has been atrocious, and the quarterbacks have been running for their lives for the last several weeks. So if we can't get this team to quarterback to run for his life, we can't get anybody. And they did their job, and they did it fine. They did it. It looked really great out there on all aspects of it. During the time when the offense, if of course 41 points, yeah, well, I should say 34, 7 as a defense. Again, that's how good defense was. We left a lot of money on the table. And like the other caller said, some of that was left because of the early holds that Mississippi State defense was doing on Alabama receiver. but we still didn't seem like it was the unstoppable machine that we've seen in games past on offense. And the Mac Jones, again, it was a highly efficient game today, as usual. But it seemed like the underthrows were. It seemed like something was missing with the underthrows, and that is, and it's good. Okay, you get this kind of a not so great game out of your system now. So down the road, because you're going to have some of those. It's just inevitable. So he's got that out of his system now, and hopefully it'll improve. We won't see another one later on in the season. But like the guy said, I saw that same stat that he had on ESPN about he's in fifth or place or something. BYU's quarterback is ahead of him. Are you kidding me?
That's what I was sitting here talking to Trey, asked the same thing. Robert, before I let you go, I want to get your take on Trey Sanders. Came in tonight, 12 rushes, 80 yards. I thought there in the second half when he had opportunities, he made the most of his opportunities. And we really started to see, what we all want to see from Trey Sanders is kind of that running back that we feel he could be. And I think this was, if there was a breakout game, this was certainly his breakout game. He didn't get that touchdown there at the end, but 12 rushes, 80 yards. Your take on Trey Sanders, the redshirt freshman at Alabama?
Oh, he definitely looked good, and the runs were tough too, which is the main thing. Breaking tackles, that kind of thing, which Najee has turned into in these last several games. He's gone into full-blown beast mode. Najee has, and that's the way Trey Sanders looked. Bryce Young again, he definitely looks like he's a diamond in the rough. But there's some rough edges. It's going to have to be positive. But hey, Mac Jones was there last year as well. Yeah. It was a little rough around the edges last year, and he improved as well. But Devontae, of course, was in just. He's just a superstar, right? He was unstoppable, and I'm really surprised that he will beat Amari Cooper's touchdown record. That's just amazing. He's gone a long way from second and 26, hasn't he?
No, no doubt. And just the confidence that he has, but he still is so humble. He just goes out there, continues to work on his craft. 11 receptions for 203 yards. You look at what he did in the first half, it was unbelievable with those two quick touchdowns. He had 139 yards in the first quarter. Is really just amazing to see the production that he puts up weekly. Now I believe he has 56 receptions in Alabama's first 6 games, which is just mind blowing. But thank you very much for calling in, Robert. I got to move to my next caller, but I appreciate.
One more thing real quick for you. Can you fill us in? I'll listen on. Can you fill us in more with the Trevor Lawrence situation and what's behind that? I thought I know it's been only 10 days quarantine. Is it more than that?
Yeah, I think so. So Dabo Swinney came out today, and I think there was kind of a lot of people were wondering, if Trevor Lawrence would be eligible to play against Notre Dame, but looks like he's going to be ruled out for that game. So we don't know specifically when he came down with COVID exactly, and I think that's coming into it. So he's not going to be there for Notre Dame. We all watched that game against Boston College. I thought Boston College had some opportunities in that second half, which they didn't take advantage of. But Clemson, I think, still beats Notre Dame hands down. So we'll see, but no Trevor Lawrence against Notre Dame.
Oh, okay, man. Catch you later.
All right. Take it easy. Thank you very much, Robert. Appreciate it. That's Robert from Mobile. We really appreciate him calling in. We'll take our next caller, and it looks like we got Sam from Alabama. Hey, Sam, what's up, man? Thank you so much for calling in. I appreciate it. You're on the line, man. Take it. Alabama rolls Mississippi State tonight, 41-0, in a game that honestly got a little boring there for a while, especially that second half. Felt like we were kind of stuck in the mud.
Yeah, man. How you doing, Cal?
What's up, Sam? Appreciate it, man.
Good being on with you, man. Appreciate you for taking the call. Yeah, they got kind of bogged down in that third quarter, man. It seemed like we was just making a lot of mistakes, and a lot of those mistakes just come from penalties, man. Do you know how many penalties we had today?
Yeah, I can zoom in on the penalties for you real quick. Alabama had, let me find the penalties. Should be right here in front of me. No, I'm not seeing penalties. All right, go ahead, Sam. I'll find the penalties. Alabama had 10 penalties for 71 yards. Mississippi State had 9 penalties for 85 yards.
Yeah, that's why we part of the reason why we're in another episode of BamaInsider After Dark. Yeah, I mean, the game was kind of long, man. But what I saw, and of course, the penalties first of all. Mac Jones. I think Mac Jones. He missed some throws. He did. He's frustrated that he did, but part of that is because he wasn't setting his feet. He wasn't setting his feet, and I give credit when credit is due. But I have to throw a little criticism in there, especially our offensive line did okay today, but I think that sometimes they do not maintain their blocks, man. They do not maintain their blocks, and sometimes the linemen, they let the linemen kind of seep through. And blocking in its simplest terms, man, is just putting your body in between the defender and the football in its simplest terms, and just moving your feet. And I wish these guys can because we need Mac Jones, man. We need Mac Jones. We don't need him getting hit. And but yeah, he had some throws that he wished that he can have back. Devontae Smith, man, what else can you say? He's one of the offensive MVPs, in my opinion. He did his thing, 4 touchdowns today. Last week our offense scored nothing but rushing touchdown. This week we only got passing touchdowns. The other MVP probably would be on offense would be Najee Harris. Najee Harris, he churns out a lot of tough yards for this offense. But when you see Trey Sanders, you see a different gear with him. You can see that guy that's more explosive, that can take it to the house. You don't really see that too much in Najee Harris. What do you think?
Yeah, I think you bring up a good point. I mean, I think they're obviously different style of running backs. I think when you look at a back like Najee Harris, I mean, he's built for power. He's built for Sundays. He's a guy that can take that wear and tear. I think the way he's been playing so physical this year. So many times we've seen him bust tackles. And I think you make a good point about Trey Sanders, is he does have that extra gear. And I think he played with a lot of confidence. I have to go back and watch kind of to see how the offensive line did hold their blocks, because I've been real high on this offensive line throughout the year. And Mississippi State's defense, I mean, they weren't terrible. It's not a terrible defense. And but I do agree with a lot of the calls, the early calls tonight, just about Mac Jones not being on point with his ball placement as he's been the first couple games. But then you look at his stats: 21 and 31, 291 yards, 4 touchdowns, and 198. I mean, as Alabama fans, people are so spoiled, right? I mean, because his efficiency has been through the roof. I did see Devontae Smith. He surprisingly did drop a touchdown pass, there that he did have his hands on, which was, uncharacteristic. Sam, final thoughts before I let you go on the defensive side of the ball.
On the defensive side, man, it's much better effort, man. I talked to you, I think it was like last Wednesday, and I told you that they got a new tackling dummy, a sled or something like that. Seemed like they put that thing to use this week, man. I mean, they needed this type of game. They needed this type of game to kind of help build their confidence.
Sure.
Now, I'm kind of with Robert. From Mobile. I watched the Mississippi State and the Texas A&M game, and I saw how trash Mississippi State offensive line is. They're terrible, man. Their offensive line is terrible. And not only that, but combine that with the fact that these guys came in defeated before the game even started.
Yeah.
I mean, they lost 7 guys this week in total. 6 to transfers and 1 that opted out.
Yep.
So those guys were defeated this year. I mean, before the game even started. So my defensive MVPs, I think I got 5 of them, man. I started off with Phil Mathis, right?
Yeah, definitely.
Started off with Phil Mathis. Then I kind of graduated to the 3 freshmen, man. Will Anderson, Malachi Moore, and Brian Branch, man. Those guys are out there balling. Then I finished off with Patrick Surtain, man. Patrick Surtain, he put the cherry on top at the end of this game, And our corners are I can't think of any 2 better corners, man, that are covering guys and that are being real physical out there on the edges, you know. And lastly, man, of course, man, the kicking game, dude. Come on, man, Will Rocket, man, still doing his thing, man. If I can vote for Will Rocket to put his hands in the cement for 8A game next year, I'll do it, man, because that guy he's a rock star, man. But that's all I got, man. Let me ask you one thing before I go. I know this show used to be like the post game show used to be on Sundays, right?
Mm-hmm.
Last year it used to be on Sundays, and you used to put out the pro football ratings stuff.
Yeah.
Was it pro football focus?
Yeah.
Ratings and everything. I know you probably can't do that tonight, but can you do that sometimes during the week? The pro football ratings or rankings sometime during the week. Is that possible?
Yeah. No. So long story short, and I'll answer on the other line, Sam.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it, man. Yeah. So Sam's talking about the Pro Football Focus grades, and we have access to Pro Football Focus, and a lot of people love the analytics that they provide. So I put those grades up, and I used to have my Sunday show, but I've been putting in so much time and so much effort into this that I have a family, so like I decided that Sunday was just going to be for my family, during the evening time, and that's kind of how I've calculated the call-in show, which I think works better. But the Pro Football Focus grades, I still post them on BamaInsider. Those come out every single Monday. So if you're a premium subscriber, you get access to those, but I could definitely add those to my Wednesday call-in show. And, I'll put those on. So, I mean, the grades, a lot of people feel kind of, some people like them, some people don't like them. A lot of it is off snap count. So it's kind of like you take it for what it's worth, but I could definitely add, the Pro Football Focus grades to my Wednesday show. I wanted to talk about the special teams real quick. Charlie Scott was Alabama's punter again, 4 punts, 152 yards, an average of 38.0, longest of 46, which is, he's J.K. Scott's brother, which is pretty cool. Trey Sanders had a kickoff return for 17 yards. Slade Bolden, 4 punt returns for 26 yards. And then Will Reichert, as Sam said, 2 field goals tonight, both, one from 40, one from 24. So Will Reichert is 8 for 8 on the year, still doing a fantastic job. And we'll take our next caller starting now. Hey, good evening. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Hey, Kyle, this is James from Jacksonville, Alabama.
Hey, James. Thank you very much for calling in. I really appreciate it. Thanks for being patient on the line. Go ahead. Your take as Alabama has defeated Mississippi State 41-0.
Yeah, man, I had a couple of things I had wanted to talk about. First of all, I want to give my game ball to like you say, Mathis. He came out at the start of the second quarter making noise. I was real happy with that. I was pleased with that, like Saban say, And another thing I want to talk about was Christian Harris. He was making some good tackles out there, He was stepping up his game. I felt like he did a good job. I like to see that Branch was starting, him and Malachi Morris. I liked that. I felt good about that. And Helms, number 29, Helms.
Yeah,
and he was laying wood. I got real excited about that. But the main one I wanted to see, like I called in earlier, I told you about Ronald Williams.
Yeah. At
the end of the game, number 22, I think he laid a little wood at the end of the game. Did he not?
I think so. I have to go watch, but I was curious to see if he would get into the rotation. Ronald Williams, for those that have been watching, he's fractured his arm during fall training camp, so we weren't sure how much we were going to see from him. And I'm with you. I mean, I think when you look at game balls, I think from defensive linemen, Phil Mathis, I think he played phenomenal. I was surprised with Tim Smith as well as a freshman. I think he came in and showed a lot of physicality, and then the play Will Anderson, I think he's almost in on every single play, it feels like. And Malachi Moore, Brian Branch, just as earlier callers have said, have really been playing kind of like they're everywhere. And just as you said, DeMarco Helms with those back-to-back thumps. My goodness, I think everybody was really excited about that. Well, I think everybody felt those.
Yes, that lit my fire. I was excited about that. Like the previous caller has said, this made me feel like the closest thing to some old school Alabama defensive ball in a long time. I ain't felt that in a long time. And I was extremely pleased with what I saw. But hey, I know you got a lot of folks on the line. I'm going to hang up and let you take it. But I appreciate you taking my call.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for calling in. And I hope you have a beautiful Sunday. And we'll catch up soon. Okay, James?
All right.
All right.
Bye-bye.
Take it easy. James from Jacksonville. All right. I got a 205, a 678, and a 256 in the call queue. I'll get to you guys in just a second. Thanks for being patient. Thank you very much for the super chat. I really appreciate it. Game ball goes to the entire defense. Shutout. Yeah, I mean, 41-0 against any team in the SEC, I think deserves props. The way that the defense played, I think, you saw a lot of fire from these guys, and that's important. During this time, especially going into this bye week, I think this is a great time to really kind of refocus on what is the main goal, right? And obviously the goal is who's in front of you. And as you look at the next couple opponents for Alabama, you have LSU, right? That's a redemption game. You have Auburn, who's clearly, they're kind of like up and down, but I think overall, I mean, their defense, they're pretty salty, right? Then you got Kentucky and then you have Arkansas. I think all those teams, you got to be dialed in. And if Alabama wants to reach the SEC championship, they have to be perfect against those teams. I mean, theoretically, they don't because they do have the tiebreaker over Texas A&M, but you get my point. I mean, here at Alabama, the goal is always perfection. And we take our next call starting right now. Hey, what's going on?
How you doing?
With Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Chris from Birmingham, Alabama.
All right, you're coming in a little hard, so maybe roll up the window or something like that because it's just a little bit loud.
Can you hear me now?
Yeah. What's your name?
Chris from Birmingham, Alabama.
All right, go ahead, Chris.
How you doing, Kyle? Thanks for having me on the show.
Absolutely.
I guess I'll just give my assessment just to each three positions on the field. Will Reichert and Slade Bolden finally coming into their own. Good to see. Game ball where the effort on both of their parts. Especially with Jaden Wall out. Let's see. Offense. I really don't see that much to really be upset about. They did their thing. I mean, they just try to convert and just punt and handle later. But what I want to see is what I haven't really seen is, I haven't seen that that usual like you usually have that 20+ yard burst run play. That's what I really want to see at this offense because that would honestly, if you ask me, it would honestly help Mac Jones out even more. It will force teams to respect the run even more. And I also want to see Trey Saunders. Like the guy looks pretty good on his feet. Let's see. In defense, good thing he pitched the shutout. Honestly though, I'll give the game ball to number 31 on defense. He handled this thing. He basically did what we really been needing: a pass rush and a sack. And I can't honestly either other than the fact that just I'm still somewhat skeptical of it, skeptical of the defense because of two things really. The Mississippi State felt handicapped as well, but it also seemed like we basically ran a defense off of systematic, like we would drop everyone else back and have three rush linemen.
Yep.
And I just kind of feel like that was kind of like circumstance due to Mississippi State's handicap.
Yeah,
and
but with that, Chris, we
probably should have started our dominance more.
But with that, Chris, I think even though Mississippi State, had, all these guys transferring, there's probably a lot going on in the locker room. I think Alabama was, they played to their standard and, they didn't play to Mississippi State standard. I mean, they came out and I think in the areas that we wanted to see improvement from them, especially the pass rush, I thought the defensive line, played as well as they could. It was surprising not to see. I want to go back and find out the snap counts on DJ Dell, because we saw a lot of Tim Smith in there. We saw a lot of Phil Mathis. We saw a lot of Christian Barmore. And in my opinion, I mean, DJ Dell is more of a run stuffer, so maybe that had, a reason to do why he didn't really play too much tonight against Mississippi State. But overall, I mean, like you said, I mean, the game balls, distributed. I think, they did a good job. And just like you said, you're probably the only person tonight to talk about Slade Bolden so far. And Slade Bolden. I'm going to stop saying, well, if Jalen Waddle was out there, because you just can't do that. They're completely different players. And Slade Bolden is doing to the best of his ability. Did a great job on punt returns. I mean, the guy fields the punt cleanly, and he's doing what he's supposed to do. And I know there's a lot of people out there wondering about Javon Baker. Why didn't Javon Baker play? Well, on BamaInsider, I told everyone Nuggets. I told them before the game that you're probably not going to see a Javon Baker because there's really no reason to sub out Slade Bolden right now at the slot position. Final thought, Chris. Go ahead.
Final thoughts. Hopefully, in this bye week coming up, we can heal up and finally we can finally answer on some like two receipts really. First with LSU last year in the whole Coach Orgeron post Lockyer game rant he had that F roll type stuff. Yeah, we got to answer for that. Then second, I was watching college game day early morning. I heard David Pollack out of all people say that we're done. Baby, we're just beginning.
Yeah,
we aren't even halfway through the season. Thanks for having me.
Take it easy, Chris. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. Yeah, in case you guys missed it, I think David Pollock said it today, right, on game day, that Alabama cannot win the national championship without Jalen Waddle. How do you guys feel about that? I think, this team, and I get it, he's one of the most explosive players in all of college football. I feel the most explosive player, but I think the offensive line is a catalyst for how good this offense can really be. If they continue to keep Mac Jones clean, which they've done a good job of, seldomly does he go down. I think he went down a couple times. There was a couple times he had some weird plays that Steve Sarkisian called, in my opinion. But other than that, I think Alabama can still go ground heavy if they really needed to with Najee Harris. So we'll take our next call, and that starts right now. Hey, what's going on? You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Good evening, Kyle. This is Kevin from Dallas, Georgia. Teacher by trade, and I was the one as far as the midterm grades, as far as the University of Alabama football team, as far as for tonight, midterm grade, as far as offense, B-, defense, B+. As far as the biggest thing, as far as on the defensive side, Kyle, was just the one thing that I had to chime in as far as everyone else, as far as the defense making tackles and being aggressive. And I haven't seen this in at least a year. As far as the defense. And I believe the key as far as University of Alabama winning the Natty this year would be Forrestall being that weak side blocker, assisting that O-line. And as you stated a few moments ago, as far as keeping, as far as the quarterback clean, and hey, there will be no issue as far as the Natty. And as far as the LSU game, I believe it's going to serve a twofold purpose. Number one is the revenge factor. We're on the revenge tour now as far as LSU as well as Auburn. And I believe if normally as far as when Coach Saban plays, as far as a in-conference or former coach, normally it's a matter of trying to not run up the score. But if it's any way possible that Alabama will score a minimum of 50, if not 100 points against LSU, I believe that this will be the one weekend in which they'll try to do that. Then also as far as the recruiting thing, because I believe if Alabama put the wood to them as far as on that second weekend in November, that's going to have a great effect because, I mean, LSU is going to be losing as far as, I think it's supposed to be like 8 scholarships over the next 2 years.
Yeah.
And also, I was going to ask you one thing, Kyle, and it was in reference to, and I just want to know whether I was reading something into as far as Ryan's signing today. Mm-hmm. Because it seemed like he was conflicted because it seemed like it was too many things going on for him not to have committed to the University of Alabama. Did I read as far as him being emotional, as far as just it being an emotional event, or was it he was somewhat conflicted as far as that really I wanted to go to Alabama and I, in turn, because of my family influence, is going to LSU?
Well, thank you very much, Kevin. I appreciate the dialogue. I think when you look at the decision today, and we covered that right here on Bama Insider with Sage Ryan, and he ultimately chose LSU, which I think, it was a very difficult decision for him. And credit to the kid for making the decision that was best for him. But I think you're absolutely right. I think he was conflicted. And I think from speaking with Andrew Bone, I know that, this morning he was talking with Nick Saban. I think it really came down to the wire. And I think that, him being an LSU legacy kind of led him to ultimately go to LSU. And talking with Andrew, I mean, he always felt that he was going to be part of LSU's class. That's why I was even so surprised when Andrew said, hey, look, Alabama has a shot. Alabama's really fighting for him. And, I think it was tough for him. I think it's tough for all these guys. I think Sage Ryan would have been a very dynamic piece of this class, but you got to move forward. And there's still some very talented, secondary players out there. Terrion Arnold is a guy we've talked about several times who I think could be a dynamic piece to this class. But yeah, I think it was tough for him. And hopefully it works out. I hope it works out the best for all these young men as they continue to make their path. But it was definitely, as you saw, there was a lot of emotion that went into that. And, you win some, you lose some, and best wishes to Sage Ryan. Final thought, Kevin, as we move forward.
The biggest thing as far as University of Alabama, hey, staying healthy. It was kind of, I kind of cringed as far as when I saw Malachi Moore, hit the turf. But the thing is, I believe that as far as over the next couple of weeks, give him as well as the other offensive as well as defensive players the opportunity to heal up, look at a little film, and when it's all said and done, Kyle, I think that, hey, bare minimum, like I said, they're on a revenge tour. So by that being the case, hey, Alabama going to go on and put $50 on them as far as in 2 weeks. If not, and if all likelihood, if Nick have anything to say about it and Sarkisian have anything to say about it, they'll probably try to put 100 points on LSU. But, hey, Kyle, appreciate everything that you do. Hey, pray the best as far as for you and enjoying your family as far as on Sunday, because, hey, I believe in that, your mantra also. Thanks for the opportunity to speak, and hey, you take care and have a blessed weekend now.
All right, you too, Kevin. Thank you very much. I really appreciate it. That was Kevin from Dallas, Georgia. I really appreciate it. Yeah, I definitely think, Sunday is a day for family, so definitely make time for your family. Definitely call up the loved ones, and never a bad time to do that. We continue with the show right here on Bama Insider. My name is Kyle Henderson. If you're new to the show, do me a favor, please hit the thumbs up. It really helps. Like, you might think like a thumbs up on the video, what is that going to do? Well, that really helps our channel grow. We have 498 live viewers. If we could get 498, even 500 thumbs up, that would really mean a lot to me. Super chats also come my way on the show, so I really appreciate it. But a simple thumbs up, and be sure to subscribe so you never miss when we drop content right here on Bama Insider. I think Trey's just about ready to load the Nick Saban press conference right on our YouTube channel, and you can definitely check that out, and we'll probably pipe that in as well. And we're going to take our next call starting right now. Hey, Sean, what's up, man? Appreciate it. We got Sean from Huntsville on.
What's up, man?
I think a lot of people said that you need the bat line phone to the Bama Insider show, so I appreciate that. So maybe we could work something out after we're done. Your takeaways is Alabama has defeated Mississippi State 41-0. Go ahead, Sean, take it.
How you doing tonight, Cal?
I'm doing good, man. I just, I always like sit back and I'm just like, I'm so blessed to do what I do. I thoroughly enjoy it. I get it. It's a grind. But, I love talking Alabama football. And tonight, there's plenty of storylines. I know it got a little bit, slow at the end of the game, but as you kind of dissect and look into it, there's a lot to talk about. So I'm eager to hear your take, Sean.
First thing I want to say is, man, I want to give a huge shout out to the Bama defense. These guys, it's like they heard what we was talking about on the last show. It's like they heard us. You and I talked about manufacturing pressure, coming with different type blitzes. They did just that. So I'm glad that the football guys heard us. I want to give a special shout out to the kicker, Will. He did his thing. It's really, really, really weird to see us have kicker and not be afraid every time he go out there. My defensive MVP for me from the first defensive snap until the last defensive snap was Brian Branch. Mm-hmm. Brian Branch is physical, man. I did not know he was that physical. He played outside leverage. That kid is physical. And what people may not see is Saban didn't give him any help all night. That dude played man from his spot all night in that star position, his money position. That guy played. He. I don't understand why that guy hadn't been starting. Yeah. You know what I mean? I understand Mississippi State comes out in 5 receiver set, so
They gave us an opportunity to put an extra defensive back on the field. Want to give a special shout out to Tim Smith. That guy's a force. I talked about him earlier. He's aggressive, man. That guy's aggressive.
Yes.
He's nimble. His motor is constant go. But I will say this, man. I feel like Najee cheated himself out of a couple of yards. I get frustrated with Najee, man, because my old coach used to say, there's nothing worse than seeing a big back, a 6'2", 230-pound back that run like he running on air. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I don't like all that juking Najee do. It's time for it at times, but it was several plays where Najee could have had the first down, but he chose to juke and run toward the sideline. I wish he just lowered his shoulder and if you remember how Josh Jacobs used to run, that's why that guy was a first-round pick. Josh would lower his shoulder and get the extra tough yardage. Najee is 6'2", 230. I hate seeing him jump over people, and I know he didn't do that tonight, but all the juking and, it's time for that. But if it's 3rd and 4 and you right there at the marker, man, lower your shoulder and get the tough yards. Yeah. You don't have to juke everybody and run to the sideline. You know what I mean? If I know, I honestly feel like the coach is going to talk to him about that. Lower your shoulder, get the tough yards, man. The offensive MVPs for me was Devontae Smith and the offensive line. Mm-hmm. And I want to say this to the fans, man. The young man that committed to LSU today, blessings to the young man. As fans, please, man, let's not diss the young man. Yeah. Somebody who has a young man come from right here, James Clemens, right here in Madison, Alabama, LeBron Ray. Mm-hmm. These other kids watch this stuff. They hear about it, and the kids that don't watch it, the parents of other universities put it on their, they let them see it. Let's not diss that man because nothing is set in stone yet. These are just kids that's verbally committing right now. Let's not diss the men when they don't go to Alabama because you never know what happens, man. You never know what happens throughout the recruiting process. Look no farther than Rashaan Evans. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. He's from Auburn. Those people went in on him hard, and you see where he ended up going. Yeah. So let's not do that, man, because it's other recruits that watch this stuff, that see this stuff, and if you don't think other universities and other parents and other coaches especially are using that, trust me, I know. I've had kids recruited to these universities. I know what they say to them. Look what they fans saying. Mm-hmm. These people don't care about you. So please, man, if the man committed to LSU, blessings to him, and let's move on. You know what I mean? Let's move on. We don't have to keep talking about the young man. If he was conflicted, respect to him and his family. He picked his university on to the next recruit. So, hey,
Sean,
I want to say thank you.
I wanted to ask you before I let you go, Sean. I wanted to ask you about one particular player. Get your thoughts. And first off, I agree with Brian Branch. I thought he played his best game overall. Malachi Moore certainly gives off that that Minka vibe. But tell me, give me your quick thoughts about Trey Sanders, the way he played tonight. I felt he had his breakout game, 12 attempts, 80 yards. He's a different style back than Brian Robinson and Najee Harris, clearly. But your take on Trey Sanders, please.
I love Trey Sanders, man. I think Trey Sanders pressed the line of scrimmage actually better than Najee. Mm-hmm. Najee, it seems like Najee's vision, I don't know if it's his vision is sort of off, but it's like from what we call the mesh point to the line of scrimmage. That's where Najee has his issues at. And to prove what I'm saying, I don't know this for a fact, but I would be willing to bet again. If you look at Najee's history, I would guarantee that he don't really have that many explosive runs to maybe this year. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Najee's just not a home run type threat back. And to me, it's part of because his vision. He pressed the line of scrimmage. A lot of times he missed the hole, believe it or not. It was several holes that was there that Najee tried to bounce outside for some reason. But as far as Trey pressed the line of scrimmage extremely well. I love that he get his shoulder square. I love that he run north and south. He don't try to deviate from where the play is supposed to go. I love that right there. And what I do love about him, he'll punish the linebackers. He don't just run into him. He's not juking him. He'll lower that shoulder and get the tough yards. In the fourth quarter, take this from me, and anybody that played ball at a college level will tell you this. In the fourth quarter, DBs don't want to tackle those kind of guys, man. A defensive back, corner safety, even sometimes linebackers should not be so willing to tackle a back that's over 220 pounds. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? They should not be so willing to do that. Trust me, in the fourth quarter, you'll see a lot of defensive backs whiff on tackles. They'll throw their arms out there. That's fatigue. They do not want to hit backs that's that big and going to bring the thunder to them. That's painful. Trust me. So Trey is that kind of back. I mean, Najee is too, but I think the coaches have to get on to Najee and feed him to make him run like that. I need to see that from Najee from carry 1 to carry 21. But Trey Sanders is the future next year. That guy is going to be, he's going to be outstanding. He has a second gear.
He attacks the line of scrimmage. He presses the line of scrimmage, and he can catch. So I'm looking forward to seeing Trey Sanders a lot, man.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Sean. I really appreciate the dialogue. You always bring so much, man. We're definitely going to make sure that you have some sort of bat line connection to the Bama Insider Calling Show. We appreciate what you bring, man.
Okay, man. I appreciate you taking my call.
All right, man. Stay blessed. See you, Sean.
All right.
All right. Sean out in Huntsville. We got our team rider, Tony Sukalis, who is standing by. We're going to bring him on. And then we got a 334 and an 813. Stay patient. I know you've been on there 334 for a minute, so just hang tight. We're going to bring in our team rider, and let's see if we can bring him on. We're going to try to do that right now. Hey, Tony, what's up, buddy?
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. We got Tony. He's at Bryant-Denny Stadium covering the game tonight. Tony, as we look at this game, Alabama defeats Mississippi State 41-0. I mean, the second half of that game, my goodness, I had to drink about 5 cups of coffee. But when you kind of look at the game overall, your biggest takeaways and give us some game balls.
I think it finally looks like an Alabama defense. I think that's the biggest thing for me. We've been waiting to see, Pete Golding respond, and Alabama really shut down this Mississippi State air raid. I mean, they really had nothing. Devontae Smith had more yards than Mississippi State did. So big kudos to Alabama's defense. And then also big kudos to Devontae Smith, another big game against a Mississippi school. His third 10-catch performance of the season. Another 200-yard game. The guy's outstanding. A lot of guys on defense, if you're going to give out game balls, Dylan Moses was good. I really liked what I saw from Brian Branch making the start at Money. Malachi Moore with another great start. He's really on a roll. And then Patrick Surtain with that pick 6. So there's a lot to like on both sides of the ball, but I really think the biggest thing for me was that defense finally stepping up to the caliber, that national championship level caliber that we've been waiting to see.
Real quickly, when we have Tony Sukalis, so he's our team rider. He's our Bryant-Denny, and we'll take our calls after we let Tony break out. But I haven't watched it yet, but we just posted Nick Saban's press conference. It's on our YouTube channel. Go check it out. Hit the thumbs up button on all these videos. Tony, what was Nick Saban's message? I mean, it was his birthday, but towards the later part of the game, he was still verbally upset, even 41-0, a lot of penalties. But what was his kind of overarching message as Alabama defeats Mississippi State 41-0?
Yeah, there's things to clean up, like he mentioned the penalties, but I think the overall there's a lot of encouragement leaving this game, and I think you can see that with Nick Saban. I think they're really encouraged with what they can do without Jalen Waddle in the offense. The offense still is not missing a beat. He talked about the spark that Jalen Waddle provided. Jalen Waddle was on the sidelines. I think there's a lot that they can build on in this bye week, and I know we really haven't seen some of those younger guys, but Nick Saban said that this bye week is going to be important to kind of get those younger guys more reps, and I think that's going to be really important moving forward. It's just how much can they, build up this depth over the next 2 weeks. I know we saw Trey Sanders. That was encouraging as well. So there's just a lot of encouragement leaving this game. I think Alabama needs this bye week. I think they're a little banged up, and Nick Saban talked about that as well. But it's coming at a good time, and I think it's given them a lot of momentum at the right time to kind of recharge and start again in 2 weeks.
Tony, before we let you go, my final thought, any key injuries from this game? Yeah,
a few people were banged up. I don't think there's anything super serious from this. So, we saw Miller Forrestall get banged up.
That's a weekly thing, right?
That guy gets banged up every single.
But it's not him. I think it's just like he's just the physical type of player. Okay, Tony, we'll Tony's back to getting his articles up at BamaInsider. He's going to have Saban up for us as well. You can check that out on YouTube. But Tony, be safe coming home from Bryant-Denny Stadium, and we'll catch up with you soon. Thanks for joining us tonight.
All right, man. Thanks.
All right. Tony Sukalis of BamaInsider. He's our team writer. You can follow his coverage at BamaInsider.com. We take our next call starting right now. Hey, thanks for being patient. I appreciate it. What's up? You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who I'm on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
How you doing, Kyle? This is Adrian Webster, man. I'm in Ohio, but I'm from Montgomery, Alabama, though, right?
Okay. Do you want me to put Adrian from
And,
Montgomery then?
Say that again.
You want me to put that you're from Montgomery or from Ohio?
Montgomery, man, Alabama.
Okay, go ahead, man. You're on the show.
Okay, well, look, man, I got a couple of brief things I wanna talk about, man. How do you feel about the Tua Tagovailoa type phenom in Bryce Young? Like, to you, does it look like he's making any progress? You know how I know they two different people, but you know, as phenomenal as Bryce Young is and supposed to be, you know, I just kind of expected to see him whenever he get in the game to be on his full P's and Q's, you know, like even when I saw his practices and stuff before he actually started playing for Alabama, he was on the grind. He was really, really good. So do you think he's just kind of working out the kinks or whatever? Do you think he's kind of working off the nerves or whatever when he get in the game, or do you think it's going to be an issue with it? As far as him being a pretty good player, what you think?
I think when I look at a player like Bryce Young, and I appreciate you calling in. No, thank you so much. I've been to Montgomery several times. Had some hot dogs at Chris's Hot Dogs outside the Capitol. That was a good experience when I was down there. I think when I look at a player like Bryce Young, I think he's so eager to make plays. Right, this is a guy who hasn't had many opportunities, and I really want to see more of a sample size from him. I want to see him throw the football 100 times in a game situation before I make like a really strong comment about his play, because he just hasn't had that many opportunities. Now I get he came in. I kind of looked to what he did against Tennessee as a good sample size. Tonight, you know, that second half of the game, the air was already taken out of the game, not a lot of momentum overall. The game was kind of out of reach. But I think against Tennessee on the road, I think we saw some good throws from him. I think we saw what he could do. But until we get a larger sample size, it's really hard to talk about what type of player he's going to be. Anytime you get these 5 stars in at every single position, you know, if we don't see them play, or if, you know, they make a bad play or whatever, then so many people are quick to just kind of write them off or ridicule them. But I think a larger sample size is needed.
I don't think it's a matter of writing them off right now. For me, I just think that, you know, I just want to see him a little bit more poised in the game, just a little bit more confident. I think he kind of, like you said, try to overdo things a little bit and rush play. I think he has that expectation of what people think they want to see from him, so he try to go for that instead of just relaxing. You know what I mean? So, but like you said, it's gonna take a little time for him to get out there and do what he got to do. But on the other hand, on the defensive end, my fear for the defense is the safeties. I'm not really sure if we have, cause see, that's how people like Dabo and you know, other games we may end up playing. That's where they're gonna hit us at. They're gonna hit us with them safeties. They're gonna hit us with the long ball. And I'm not sure if the safeties are either fast enough or attentive enough to actually turn around, or have the instinct enough to actually turn around when the ball is in the air. You know what I mean? Like turn around and look for the ball to get it intercepted or to knock it out. You know what I mean? I just always see them, you know, with their back turned and then throw their hand up and try to block the ball now instead of actually turning around for it when it's time to turn around for it. What you think about that?
Yeah, I think one particular player that I can talk about, you know, in pass coverage situations that I think has done a good job out of you know, the secondary players. And I won't talk about the corners because I think the corners do a good job with what you're talking about. They do turn around their head. I mean, Patrick Surtain and Josh Jobe, I thought, have played very well throughout these first 6 games of the season. But one particular guy is Malachi Moore. For him just getting here, he is that guy. He will turn his head around. He will go up and combat and, you know, with those wide receivers for the football. Jordan Battle and Daniel Wright. I for whatever reason, Daniel Wright plays opportunistic, and tonight I did see him, you know, get to. He laid the wood on one of the guys who I thought it was going to be a catch. You remember, it was out on the sideline. I guess I'll have to kind of continue to monitor how these safeties are playing and if they are whipping their head around. I think, you know, against Tennessee, I was, I was kind of shocked to see Jordan Battle, Patrick Surtain get beat over the top. But I think overall tonight, what we saw, I think they did a better job. And I think that, this was important for the defense. You go off 41-0, you go into this bye week, and you come out refocused against this later stretch of the season. So, I think it was an overall improvement. And of course, people aren't going to talk about Pete Golding this week, but as you look at the defensive improvement trajectory, I think it's definitely going upwards.
Yeah, it's getting there. It's getting there. Well, I appreciate you having me on the show, man. I love your show. I watch it all the time. And I look forward to getting back with you next week. Week after next, man.
Okay. Thank you so much, Adrian. I really appreciate it.
All right. Appreciate it. You have a good one.
All right. You too. Adrian from out in Ohio, but from Montgomery. Yeah, I think, this is very important for the defense. And I appreciate you guys watching. Hey, we have close to 700 live viewers. We should have 700 likes on this channel. So, definitely hit the thumbs up. Just takes a second. Just hit the thumbs up right now. And I really appreciate, the thumbs up right here on our YouTube channel. Super chats also appreciated. We'll move to our next caller in just a second. But I think I kind of want to reiterate how important this win is going into the rest of the gauntlet of the SEC. As you've seen, I think it's been a gauntlet, right? I mean, you look at the teams that Alabama has played throughout the season, it's just SEC teams. This isn't something that Alabama fans are accustomed to. So I think you need to rest up. And the thing that I love about this team is there's not that many injuries, right? These guys have been relatively healthy. I know the big blow is Jalen Waddle, but overall, I mean, this team is really healthy. And I think going into the rest of this later part of the season, that's going to pay dividends. And we'll take our next caller starting now. Hello, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson.
Hey.
Yeah, what's up, buddy? Go ahead. Is this Ashton?
Yeah, it's Ashton from Florida.
Hey, what's up, Ashton? I appreciate it, man. Thank you so much for calling. Go ahead.
I just want to say you're a saint for doing this on Halloween so we can get some BamaInsider.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. Your takeaways from this 41-0 victory.
It was amazing. People are saying Najee needs to blow through the holes. Our old line is amazing, and people are saying Najee had not as good a game as usual. He had 120 yards, which is amazing.
Mm-hmm. For whatever reason, with Najee Harris, it seems like because this offense is so good, it's kind of like we keep forgetting about Najee and these performances that he has. Does it feel like that to you as well?
It does, yeah. It feels like if he doesn't get a touchdown, it's like he had a horrible game.
Yeah, it honestly does. I would completely agree.
Do you feel Bryce Young is not filling up to the potential he was supposed to? I feel Bryce Young should have been a lot better this year than he is being this year.
I think that's real talk. I mean, like I was saying, to Adrian, and I think a lot of people are asking that same question. You see the 2 fumbles that he has had. He hasn't had a touchdown. But like I say, before I make a strong statement or assessment about Bryce Young, I think he needs a larger sample size. I mean, I think he's so eager to get onto the field and make an impact. And I think a lot of these freshmen are. But I think you just need to and I know I got it, Perry. Yeah, I spelled Florida wrong. I produced the entire show myself, so there's going to be errors. I'll fix it right now. I appreciate it. I'm human, so I will refix Florida. But I think that Bryce Young, he is going to get other opportunities. So I want to see him throw 100 passes. And then I want to make kind of an assessment. And I was talking to Adrian that, of course, against Tennessee, I felt that was the Bryce Young that we are going to see. In this particular game, I thought the second half, especially that fourth quarter, the air was out of it. It was like the game would not end. The game was way out of reach. So let's wait for a larger sample size. At least that's how I'm going to approach this before we start, really trying to figure out what Bryce Young's about, because I think we just need a larger sample size.
Do you feel Mac Jones ahead of Trevor Lawrence in the Heisman race now? That Trevor Lawrence didn't play in the Clemson game today?
Probably so. I mean, I think that's another good question. And we've talked about this before, Austin, is the fact that, you look at the teams that they've both played, right? One guy's playing Georgia Tech, the Citadel, Syracuse. The other guy's playing the #1 defense, right, in Georgia. And you look at the fact that they played Mississippi State as well. I mean, this is a pretty good defense, even though, you might not believe it. I mean, this team had a lot of defensive talent, and I think the SEC play is only going to help boost Mac Jones when you talk about the Heisman comparison. And now you kind of factor in that Trevor Lawrence is going to play less games than Mac Jones, and especially missing that one against Notre Dame, a game that's certainly going to be on the limelight of the national stage. So I think Mac Jones certainly takes a step in this Heisman race, but it's not over, and he has to continue to do it. And I'm kind of with some earlier callers that I felt that Mac Jones missed on some throws tonight. I mean, you still look at his efficiency rating; it's fantastic, but there was definitely some balls that didn't have the same ball placement as weeks 1 through 4.
I agree with you. I feel like Mac Jones missed some passes today, and Najee. I feel like our offense could have been better in the second half, but our defense was really the shining point of this game today.
All right. Well, final thought, buddy. Go ahead.
How nervous were you in the Boston College Clemson game for Boston College to win?
The thing was, as soon as I saw, because I wasn't watching the game at first, and then I saw on Twitter that Boston College was leading. So then I turned it on, and I was like, man, they're going to lose this game 100%. And I knew that Clemson would come back. And I thought Boston College had some opportunities, but it seems like there's always that game that Clemson has. I mean, last year was North Carolina. This year it's Boston College. Clemson's a good team, and once they're fully healthy, they're going to be there at the end. But I didn't think for 1 second that Boston College was going to hang on to that game.
Yeah, I kind of knew they were going to give it up at the end. I'll talk to you later. I got to go to bed. Roll Tide, and talk to you later.
All right. Thanks, buddy. Appreciate it. All right. Austin out in Florida. Appreciate it. Always brings such good stuff to the show. What do you guys think? Kind of when we look at the Heisman race, we got a 385, a 405, a 404, and a 251. We got area codes. You guys are all next right here on BamaInsider. And I'm curious to get your assessment. Does Mac Jones take a step up when we look at the Heisman race? I guess we'll have to see. And I get it. It's all rat poison. It's kind of, hypothetical stuff. But, he's playing that well. And he's playing so well that even Najee Harris and a guy like Devontae Smith can still get kind of overshadowed in this. But, Devontae Smith, my goodness, 11 receptions, 203 yards. We take our next call starting now. Hey, good evening. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Yeah, this is Ed from Salt Lake again. If more callers calling like that last caller, Kyle, you're going to be on the cover of Sports Illustrated here. He was interviewing you.
Yeah, that was great. I love the variety of the callers. The last call we were in Florida. Now we're out in Salt Lake. Hey, you guys are starting to get some Pac-12 football out that way, and of course BYU. I'm watching them right now, 28-3 up on Western Kentucky. But your assessment tonight, Ed, from Alabama's 41-0 victory over Mississippi State. What are your takeaways?
It's no different than most weeks. It's domination. Again, it's games like this, you really got to nitpick to look for weaknesses. This is what we've come to expect week after week. And to me, it's just a collision course. If everything goes right with Clemson, I don't see anybody else as long as everybody stays healthy. I don't see anybody else other than those two. Maybe Ohio State, but watching them tonight, they were okay. They weren't great. But Devontae Smith and Mac Jones tonight, this team, we can easily argue this team's better than the last 2 years.
Yeah, they were putting some side-by-side comparisons with LSU from last year, who was obviously, they were so fantastic to watch. And the numbers for Alabama this year, they're pretty comparable. If not, Alabama's numbers were better. You take away Jalen Waddle, of course, that takes away from Alabama's potency on offense. And I thought at times, especially in the first half, Alabama didn't have that same rhythm that they've had in previous games. But then Devontae Smith just put the entire team on his back, with that 11 reception performance. It's unbelievable what he's doing. 4 touchdowns tonight. Making, he even missed a touchdown catch. Ed, let's talk about the defense just for a second. Everybody has been so critical of them and, stepping up tonight. Malachi Moore, Brian Branch, Will Anderson, all those guys, freshmen for Alabama, Your assessment on this defense as they pitch a shutout tonight against Mississippi State.
Well, I think you kind of hit on it. The thing about the defense is I'm wondering what this defense is going to be like in 2-3 years, because there's a lot of young studs. Last year there were a lot of question marks. Of course, Dylan Moses going out. The middle was kind of weak last year. I mean, look at I'm drawing a blank here. Who was starting the middle linebacker?
That was last year.
Who's now third string?
Shane.
Yeah. But there's so much young talent coming in now. It's as good as it's ever been. I think if the defense plays anywhere near the level of the offense, there's no way we're going to be beat.
Yeah, I mean, I think, I do think that this team, the only team that can beat this team is a team who can outshoot this team. I'm going to say that 100 times for, the remainder. And you kind of look to the teams who can do that. I mean, there's only 2 other teams, right? One's Ohio State, the other is Clemson. I didn't even see what Ohio State did tonight, but I figured that they beat Penn State, I would assume. So I don't even know what the score is, but that's another team that I feel could, I guess, outshoot them. But the defense, this is so important for the defense tonight. I think it's a morale booster. I think it's a morale booster for Pete Golding. You go into that bye week, the defense is healthy. I thought Phil Mathis played very well. I thought Barmore played well. I thought Tim Smith played well. Overall, it's just a great overall, performance by the defense. What's your final thought, Ed?
Just stay steady, stay the course, and I'm looking forward to is the game prime time next week?
The game. So next week, let me see. I haven't even checked to see what time the game is next week. I can find that for you real quick. Give me 1 second.
I know television can change what time the games start.
Well, so what I have here is, so obviously they're open next week, and then I have 6 p.m. on CBS against LSU.
Right. Okay, they've moved it up. It was 4. All right. Well, we're in different time zones.
Yeah. So
didn't realize that. But it's prime time.
Got you. Okay. Yeah. So next week all right. For LSU, you got that 6 o'clock game. So thank you so much, Ed. I appreciate you calling, and we'll catch you next time. Okay.
Yeah, take it easy.
All right. Our good friend Ed from Utah calling, and hey, we got a super chat. Appreciate it. Thank you so much. Definitely helps pay for the call-in line. Great job as usual. We looked good against a depleted team, but watch out for our issues. We did get a little rotation towards the end. Good win. Now we have a bye. Yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you so much, Tobias. I really appreciate the super chat. I know you're out in Fresno, California, so Northern California representing right here on the Bama Insider post-game call-in show. So thank you very much. I really appreciate the super chat. Super chat means a great deal to me. I've been grinding all day today, so that really is a morale booster as we continue on the show. I will take our next call. And remember, I just posted Nick Saban's press conference. We got 636 people watching. We should have 636 ups. So definitely hit that thumbs up button on this video. That means a lot. Like you guys don't understand how much that means to hit that thumbs up. And of course, the super chat. So thank you so much. Okay, we got a 405, a 404, a 251, a 503, and a 307. I mean, look at the variety. It's awesome. I love it. The 405, we'll take it right now. Hey, good evening.
Hi.
You're on the line with Kyle Henderson.
Enjoy the show.
Yeah. What's your name and where are you calling in from?
Well, my name is Dave. Dave, big Bama fan here, living in Norman, Oklahoma, which is kind of different, in Sooner country.
Yeah.
But I've been an Alabama fan since I was a little kid, back in '65. Joe Namath. I'm an old timer. Love Alabama football. I had a question. Is there any way to have access to some of the injuries? We had 2 injuries tonight. They seem to be mild. One was Malachi Moore, pretty close to the end of the game. He looked like he got a stinger. Didn't know if there was an update on that. And then Forrestall seemed like he re-injured his shoulder earlier in the game.
Yeah, so we had our team writer on, Tony Sukalis. He's at Bryant-Denny Stadium this evening. I asked him about that as well. It looks like Malachi Moore, that was nothing more than a stinger, so I think he's going to be fine. Same thing. We all saw Miller Forrestall land on that shoulder. My goodness, did that look painful? I mean, all of his 255 pounds came right on that shoulder. And you might be thinking to yourself, Miller Forrestall gets hurt every single game. The plays that Miller Forrestall are hurt on would probably injure the rest of us for our lifetime. I mean, this is a big man. So like, he's not just, he's not a weak link out there. I mean, the dude is a humongous man.
Adorable.
So I think he's going to be
great blocker,
fantastic blocker. Yeah. So I think, other than, you can kind of look at the injuries from this team. I mean, Jalen Waddle, I mean, what looks to be a season ending injury is really all that they have. I mean, this team is pretty healthy going into this bye week, which I think is so important.
That's got to be a credit maybe to the strength and conditioning change. I don't know. Scott Cochran was doing a fantastic job, but then last year there's an epidemic of injuries, and especially with Tua and then the linebackers that depleted the team. And maybe a new approach might have been a refreshing restart for these kids. And it seems like the injuries have been minimal. The Jalen Waddle, early in the game, I guess you're more prone to an injury in a play like that. But you almost have to really be mindful of that, because I think that's the only variable that could really derail a national championship for Alabama at this point. I really believe that. I've been following them a long time, and I know I have a lot of respect for Clemson and Dabo Swinney and then Ohio State. I hate to change gears on you, but do you think it's fair that Ohio State would be eligible for a Final Four appearance with only playing 5 games?
Ohio State only 5 games. No, I think they're going to get more games than that.
They are.
Ohio State, yeah, they'll get more.
Well, this is only their second game. I guess maybe about, what will they play, about 6 or 7?
Yeah, I think how it works.
They'll play like 3 less.
Yeah, so I think how it will work out is that I think at the most they're going to play 8 games or something like that. So I think if they do run the table and they go and they win 8 games, including a conference championship, then I think they should be eligible. Now, the one team that I'm worried about kind of in this, when we kind of look to the playoffs, is that, these are the teams that could throw a wrench into the Frankenstein playoffs, right? Cincinnati. Who's going to beat Cincinnati? Are they one of the best 4 teams? No, but they're probably going to go undefeated. Okay. That's a little bit worrisome. You also have Oregon. Yeah. What's going to happen with Oregon? If they win their 6, regular season games and then they're a Pac-12 champion, they're 7-0, what are they going to do, right? And the worst case scenario is this. If Alabama is able to run the table and then Georgia, for whatever reason, somehow starts JT Daniels and he gets healthy and we see a different Georgia team, if Georgia can start throwing the football, they're going to be a good team. The only thing is they don't have an offense, but their defense is phenomenal. So let's say that somehow Georgia beats Alabama in the back end. Alabama loses late. You have an undefeated Oregon. You have an undefeated Cincinnati. You have an undefeated Clemson. And you have Georgia, who just beat Alabama. You see what I'm saying? That's kind of like the worst case scenario.
Yeah, you don't want to leave it in the hands of the judges.
That's what I'm saying. So
it makes you look nervous.
But I think that what will help Alabama is the strength of schedule of just the SEC and the gauntlet that they've played. So I'm and that's all hypothetical talk. I mean, they got to beat LSU, they got to beat Auburn, they got to beat Kentucky, they got to beat Arkansas the remainder of the way. What's your final thought, Dave?
Well, I think the improvement of the defense is very enlightening, and very impressed with their progress. And I think, losing Jalen Waddle was a devastating blow, but I think in the spirit of Alabama football, I think they'll compensate and continue their excellence and roll tide. And I really enjoy the show. Thank you for taking my call, and have a great evening.
All right. You too, Dave. Thank you very much.
Thanks, bud.
All right, Dave in Norman, Oklahoma, out on, calling in from the Midwest. I'm from Santa Fe, New Mexico. I live in Tuscaloosa, Alabama. So I always tell our fans in the show, I've lived in Redondo Beach, from Santa Fe. Used to live in Pella, Iowa as well. Went to school out at Central College, if you know where that's at. And then I also lived in Alexandria, Virginia, and I lived in Washington, D.C. So, I've kind of been all over the place, and now I'm in beautiful Tuscaloosa, Alabama. I love connecting with everybody from around the way. So thank you very much for joining me. Hit that thumbs up button. I appreciate it. I'll take 3 more callers, and then I'll probably break out of here. I got to do a couple more things on Bama Insider, but I'll definitely take the next 3 calls. So I'll take the 404, the 251, and the 503, and we'll take the 404 right now. Hey, thank you very much for being patient. I appreciate it. Who am I on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
Hey, Kyle, this is Marco from Atlanta. How you doing, buddy?
Hey, what's up, Marco? Appreciate you calling in, man. It's been a minute since we got to catch up, but thank you for being patient, and you're on the line. Go ahead.
Yeah, man, normally I like to call in and do those hot takes, but when I know it's just you by yourself, you don't have Tyler to set things up, I try not to get too much of a problem. Hey, man, kind of like I said a couple weeks ago, man, Max, he's going to separate himself and win a Heisman. Also said at that time that they were going to be just fine on the defensive end, and that Pete Golden was going to be everything that I said he would be. It just, it kind of shows when I talked about this, weeks ago, I said, people act as if Charlie Strong and all these other guys and Nick Saban don't sit around and game plan defensively, and they act as if it's all Pete Golding's fault. And I told people he would be just fine to undermine doing and along. And it just goes to show how spoiled our fan base is. Some of it may be just not knowing how to really watch football and understand what you're looking at and why things are happening, whether that's you just don't understand the X's and O's or whatever the case is. But, we've had these conversations before. But overall, I think we look pretty good. What do you think?
Yeah, I think, the trajectory of the defense is certainly improving. And this going out into the bye week with a 41-0 victory is fantastic. I think that, what the defense was able to do was great. And I think you look at some of the younger guys that are playing well. I mean, Christian Harris, sophomore, William Anderson, freshman, Malachi Moore, freshman, Brian Branch, freshman. I think that says a lot about the direction of where this defense is going, not only this year, but for the future. I mean, getting these guys in. I've been really impressed with Tim Smith in the last couple of games. We actually saw Jamil Burrows as well. And then, Patrick Surtain coming up kind of with the icing on the cake towards the end, kind of providing that vet leadership experience. And then you got Daniel Wright, who I thought came up with a big hit at the right time. And then how about DeMarco Hellams? My goodness. I mean, the guy is a thumper. If there's if that fit a better term like that, that's him. And what he did to those poor young men, a couple of times on back-to-back plays. I mean, the dude is like a bone crusher, right?
Yeah. He definitely laid the lumber, man. And, I was thinking about our defense performing tonight, and I said, I don't buy that Clemson hype, not one bit. Struggling against a Boston College team. I'm telling you, if Alabama played Boston College, we hang 45 on them.
Yeah.
I don't buy Georgia coming off of a bye week and you look like that. Just terrible. So when I look at college football as a landscape, and I tell people all the time, again, we talk about just looking at those X's and O's. I don't see a team in the nation that looks as good as Alabama. And when you talk about even losing a Jalen Waddle, you see it tonight at times where you don't have that decoy. People fail to realize Jalen Waddle was as good as a decoy as he was a receiver and actually catching the ball. But when I look at college football, there's not a question in my mind that Alabama is the number 1 team in the country, especially in the age where defense doesn't win championships anymore. It just buys your offense extra possessions to go out and win the game. And then, obviously that's by virtue of the rules, and, the rules have tailored the game to be offensive. And obviously that's for, several reasons of, business and different things of that nature. But like I say, I look at the whole landscape and I think we are in a good shape. Our only downfall would be ourselves. What do you think about that?
Yeah, probably so. I mean, I think that's something that Nick Saban preaches. You really just focus on what you can do, and the rest will kind of fall into its place, almost kind of like the John Wooden mentality. And I think Alabama, they've done such a great job with these first 6 games, and we can all compare who's better, Clemson, Ohio State, and that's not anything where Nick Saban's going. I mean, he's about every single play. I mean, you look at how he was acting towards the end of the night when Tim Smith with the offsides penalty, or you kind of later in the game. I mean, he's so dialed into every single snap. He's dialed into every single team that's right in front of him. And I think he's preaching that to the team. I do think that this bye week comes at a great time and just before these next 4 hard-hitting games. And if Alabama wants to get to the SEC championship, they're going to have to beat a very good Auburn team. I mean, the Auburn team that we saw today, it's kind of like a Jekyll and Hyde team, right? We don't know which team is going to show up, but we do know that they're going to play their best game against Alabama. So final thought, DeMarco, as we head out.
Yeah, like I say, you never know what you're going to get out of Auburn. I definitely think we're going to go ahead and show LSU a little bit of what humble pie tastes like when we come off the bye week. I think Najee Harris is running well. He's running hard. You can just see that he expects much more of himself. He's literally getting up off the ground almost frustrated every single time he runs the ball. And I think he wants to show that and take that out on every single, guy that he goes up against. And again, like I say, Bryce Young is going to be fine. Again, this is another young talent. He's got to get himself up to speed, and he's had some unfortunate breaks. But again, like I said, when I look at this team and I look at how we're performing, and especially, like I said, on the defensive side, I've been saying since day one, Pete Golding is going to be just fine, and this defense is going to be just fine, especially like the other caller said, in the next 2 years for sure. With all that young talent, it's going to blossom. So I think we'll be just fine, Kyle.
All right. Well, thank you so much, DeMarco. I really appreciate the dialogue. Good to hear from you again. And please continue to call in so we can continue to talk Alabama football. Always appreciate what you bring to the table, man. Have a blessed Sunday. All right.
All right. You too. All right.
Cool. DeMarco out in the ATL. All right. We'll jump to our next caller and we'll start right now. Hey, good evening. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who are we on the line with and where are you calling in from?
Calling from Mobile, Alabama. How you doing?
Good, good. What's your first name?
First name is Sharon. Everybody call me Boss Hog, man.
Okay.
I've been dying to get in to try to call in on your show because I love what you do.
Yeah.
Watch you all the time, man. I'm always throwing that thumbs up whenever you say put a thumbs up. So it's great to be on the show with you.
Yeah, thank you so much. I really appreciate it, man. Go ahead, take it away, buddy.
Yeah, man. I just wanted to say, I'm from Mobile, man, and we diehard Alabama fans here, and I hear a lot of people, just mentioning about Bryce Young, and it just kind of ticks me off a little bit because the guy's young. This is he's not in high school anymore where he's playing with his buddies. He has to learn this Alabama team. He has to learn his teammates. So I think the guy's going to be fine. He looks poised. He looks like he knows what he wants to do. So I think we should just trust the system and let Nick bring him up the way he needs to be brought up. And the guy's going to be fine. He's going to be another first-round draft pick sometime after when Nick get done with him. So, I think everybody just needs to kind of chill out. Don't worry about Bryce Young. Bryce is going to be fine. He's in the right place, right time. Just leave him alone. Let the young guy learn. And another thing, man, was I wanted to make a comment about Dylan Moses and ask you a question. I love how Dylan is playing, but for him to be getting ready to come out of Alabama, it just seems like he's making mistakes that he just normally just normally wouldn't make as being a leader on the team. So, just wanted to hear your thoughts about Dylan Moses. I love the guy. I'm glad he's back from injury. I'm glad that, he's back on the field, but it just seems like, it almost feels like he's scared that he might get injured again. So, just whatever you got to say, just let me hear something about it.
Well, I appreciate you calling in and kind of to get to your first point about Bryce Young. I think that you're absolutely right. I think people, they're so hypercritical of these players right when they come in. And I think it takes a good amount of time to get these players ready. And Nick Saban is trying to get him ready the best that he can. Same with all these other freshmen. I mean, you really can't just pipe all these guys in. I think, it's one thing to build depth, but it's also, you have to think about getting these guys to be 4-quarter ready, right? Be able to have your starters go an entire game, because there's going to be plenty of games later down the stretch that are going to require 4 quarters. And if these guys, the starters, aren't used to being 4-quarter ready, that's going to affect them. I think regarding Dylan Moses, he's been up and down. I think there was a play tonight. It was like a 3rd and 7. And at the time, Mississippi State was like 0-9 from 3rd down conversions, and the quarterback, who was mobile, kind of ran right past him. There's been some times where I've been skeptical of his play, but I kind of then revert to Nick Saban, and Nick Saban has been very positive about his play, and I think Nick Saban would make the call if he wasn't the right guy to be starting at that inside linebacker position. So I don't think he looks the same like the Dylan Moses that we saw a couple seasons ago when he had 86 tackles, but I think he's providing that leadership, and I think he's also inspiring others to play better around him. One guy for sure is Christian Harris. I think Christian Harris kind of vibes off that leadership. Both those guys are from Baton Rouge, kind of like brothers in a way. And I think Moses being that team captain, very smart, knows the defense inside and out. I think he provides a lot of that veteran leadership that a young defense certainly needs. You look at all these younger guys that are starting. Dylan Moses is certainly that vet. What's your final thought, Jerome, as we get towards the later part of the show?
Yeah, my final thoughts, man, is just that I think the defense played awesome tonight. It was just awesome to see them actually come together and pitch a shutout tonight. So that was like the highlight of tonight, just to see those guys vibe. I think that vibe will carry on to the next game, and the more they play, the better they will get. Other than that, man, just roll tide, man, and thank you for doing all the hard work, man.
Yeah, thank you so much for joining us. I hope you have a blessed Sunday. Thank you very much. Please call again.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right. I'll take two more callers and then I'll break out. I got some more stuff that I need to work on. I need to take care of a couple more press conferences. So we'll take our next call right now, 503. Hey, good evening. You're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Yeah, good. Who am I on the line with and where are you calling in from?
Oh, man, I'm calling ways away. My name is Howie and I'm calling from Salem, Oregon.
Oh, wow. Okay. It's we won't tell you what's happening in this next day, but go ahead, Howie. We appreciate the call from beautiful Oregon.
Hey, you know what? I like your show a lot. You do a good job, man.
Thank you. I really appreciate
your football.
Yeah, thank you very much. I really try hard, at every single thing I do. Obviously, I'm not perfect, but I hope everybody understands that I'm trying to do my best job. Like, you're really getting the best of me. So I thank you very much. That means a lot.
Yeah. Hey, whatever I'm going to say, I don't mean to be disrespectful, but I'm going to do it I'm a Pac-12 fan, and I was just dying for college football, Yeah. I'm just sitting here waiting for college football. So I kind of adopted Mississippi State because I've seen Mike Leach and I've seen Costello. I know them, and Leach, good Pac-12 coach when he was here. Costello, good quarterback at Stanford. And I'm referring to that LSU game now. Okay. And I'm seeing highlights and I'm watching part of that game and I'm going to myself, SEC, that's a tough conference. They got Alabama, they got LSU, they got Georgia, they got all them tough teams in that conference. And I'm thinking, Jimmy Lake, who was the defensive coordinator at Washington and is now head coach of the Huskies, used to say that he would play Mike Leach 24/7. He had his number, and they would beat him in the Apple Cup, which is their in-state rivalry, every year because they'd throw a 3-8 on him and zone the 8.
Sure.
Just like that, Yep. So I was just kind of waiting after that LSU game see when those SEC coaches would start watching those Husky wins and start doing that to Leach's Mississippi State team, and they're starting to do it. And you're seeing the results of what's going on. He can't get the ball to the receivers. Costello can't get the ball to the receivers and their backup quarterback, who's a good kid. He seems like a good kid, they're just plugging up all the lanes, to throw the football. And I went, I'd say Alabama did a good job, but I wouldn't use this as a highlight reel against Mike Leach. I would wait a little more and wait till y'all get to like Georgia and get to some of these other SEC teams, to really judge to see, how good and how tough they are, your defense at Alabama.
Hey, Howie, a couple of things. The first thing is I really appreciate you calling in from Oregon. I'm glad that you have some football, because I think a lot of people were, losing their minds without football. So I'm glad to see the Pac-12, start to come around. And I appreciate your take in terms of, knowing Mike Leach when he was out at, Washington State, and kind of, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes at Mississippi State. We saw the players into the transfer portal, and, it's been a wild year for Mike Leach. Let me ask you this, and I think you brought up some good points regarding the defense and how they played zone against, Leach tonight, and they shut him out. And I think, you're right. They can't use this as kind of, where the defense is overall. But let me ask you this. I just kind of, when we look towards the Frankenstein playoffs or whatever they're going to do, let me ask you this. Give me your honest take on this. Oregon runs the table in the Pac-12. They're supposed to, right? I mean, they're the clear favorite. If they're 7-0, I think they'd be 7-0 if they won the Pac-12 championship. Do they deserve a seat at the college football playoffs?
That's a great question. That's a tremendous question. And I get into it with college football fans. I've been working on the California coast. I just got back to Oregon. I took a traveling job. It's the kind of work that I do. Mm-hmm. And I talk to a lot of people about that. And that question comes up. Does a Pac-12 team deserve to be in the playoffs with only playing 7 games, as opposed to like an SEC or an ACC team? Mm-hmm. That's an excellent question. Cristobal, I'm not a Duck fan, but I watch Oregon a lot, and I watch Oregon State, and I watch all the Pac-12 teams. And Cristobal is building at Oregon. He's building what they've been lacking, the defensive end of the program. And he was that way when he was at Miami, and they've always had a great offense at Oregon. If you remember the first playoff when they just dusted Florida State, they beat the heck out of them. But the defense was always kind of like a question mark. And my answer to you is, I don't know about that. That's a tough question. 7 games versus playing 10 or 11. I don't know.
Yeah.
I if I was going to be honest with you, I don't know. I mean, they might, and then look at, they're not even, some writers aren't even picking the Ducks to win the whole thing. Mm-hmm. They're picking Cal and ASU to fight it off in the Pac-12 championship game, which I think is very interesting.
Yeah, I think it's interesting. I actually used to cover Colorado for the time being, so kind of interested to, I always, and I'm from New Mexico, so I'm consider myself from the West. I used to live in California as well. But I love Boulder and I love Oregon, but thank you so much for calling. Howie, save the number. And if you ever want to talk football, and we'll keep track, you can kind of be our Pac-12 guy. So save the number, call in anytime. And I hope you have a beautiful Sunday with your family. And thank you so much for bringing it in.
I love your show, man. It's great.
All right. Thank you so much, Howie. Appreciate it.
Bye-bye.
All right. Okay. We'll take our last caller of the night. I gotta get out of here. So, hello, you're on the line with Kyle Henderson. Who I'm on the line with, and where are you calling in from?
What's going on, Kyle? This is Jared from Buffalo.
Oh, perfect. What's up, Jared? Appreciate it, man. Glad we went from New York, or we went from Oregon, and now we're going all the way to Buffalo. So, thank you so much for calling in, Jared. Appreciate it, man.
Yeah, great victory by Alabama today. I do agree with the last caller that playing defense against Mike Leach and running a 3-8-3 type of defense. You're running 2 deep safeties, and pretty much you have no confidence at all that Mississippi State's run game is going to be a big threat. So and we've seen other SEC defenses like Kentucky and Arkansas kind of implement and kind of expose that formula, which of course. Other teams in the Pac-12 did a good job in. But I was impressed, and I think this is the one thing we can take away, was the open field tackling, right? We've been saying this for a while, that in the open field, Alabama has not been really good there. And I can't really remember one play that, any of these players kind of whipped on the tackle. Maybe there was some plays, and maybe I got to go back. But again, you got to go back and take a hard look to find it. I thought Dylan Moses did a great job today in open field tackling. I thought Christian Harris did a good job as well. I was really impressed with our secondary, right? Malachi Moore, every time a receiver caught the ball underneath, he was always there. He was always around the ball. And, it was pretty much, gang tackling and we had some solo tackles out there, but there was barely any whiffs. So that's one thing that I think you can take away is that I feel like this secondary and I feel like this entire defense is overall getting better. They're improving. Are they going to be there? Are they there at an elite level? No, they're not there at an elite level, but they have shown improvement. And it starts with the fundamentals. It starts with tackling. It starts with wrapping up, and it starts with pretty much letting the rest of the troops get there. And I feel like Alabama did a much better job compared to what we've seen the previous weeks.
Yeah, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think when you kind of look at the overall defensive statistics, you see a lot of you see a lot of positives. I mean, I always kind of look at the defensive stats. I think we forget to look at the defensive stats as fans sometimes, but I like to look at them. And I think what really stands out to me, Jarek, you have Malachi Moore. You have Brian Branch. You have William Anderson. All those freshmen up there. That's exciting. You also have Jordan Battle, who's only a sophomore, and then you have Christian Harris up there as well. He's a sophomore. So there's a lot of young guys out there. And but you said it best. I mean, the fundamental of just simple wrapping up in open field is so important. And I think Alabama's defense, honestly, the trajectory is upward. We even saw, how about when Chris Allen got a sack tonight? I mean, I think that was his first sack of the season. You had Phil Mathis also get the first sack of his season. So I don't know. I get it. Like the guy from Howie from Oregon was like, look, don't let this be the overall picture from this game, but I'm talking about just improvement weekly, right? And if these guys can continue to play like they did tonight, I get it. Competition is going to get tougher as you go forward, but I mean, you got to continue to see these guys improve. And I strongly felt we started to see improvement during that second half of that Georgia game, and that's kind of spilled over and carried over to the Tennessee and this game against Mississippi State.
Yeah, you didn't even mention the defensive line and how much about the youth there. I mean, with the Bogby and Byron Young, sophomores, and a lot of those guys there. Yeah, so that defense it's young, it's extremely young, and the upside I believe is there, especially because I think 2018, 2017 was a little bit of a rough spot for Alabama recruiting as far as getting defensive personnel. I feel like the offensive personnel was unreal, but they're starting to get back to those basics of what made Alabama's defense so special back in those days. And again, I'm super excited about the upside. And I do agree with you, Kyle, is that every week you're going to provide a challenge, right? Ole Miss, the up-tempo run game, which you saw Georgia implement, which you saw some other teams that we played against implement. Now we had the air raid attack. What happens if players will catch the ball, run after traffic? Can you tackle in open space? Because that's pretty much what it is. Yeah. You take away the over the top, it's pretty much underneath, and you have to tackle in open space. If you can't do that, Mississippi State is going to pass all over you all day, and it's going to open up the deep vertical seam. So Alabama. So every week is going to offer a challenge. Next week, the bye week, LSU week. I hate LSU, but that's the game that's going to offer a challenge, right? Now, even though they got killed by Auburn today and their defense was completely just absolutely lackluster, no effort at all. They're offensively, the offensive line it's not a good offensive line, but they do got a young quarterback in TJ Taylor, who, even though he had a bad game, he shows a lot of promise. Miles Brennan most likely is going to be returning back and being the starter, and he's one of according to the statistics, he's one of the more efficient passers. And then you got to look at the offensive personnel at the receiving position, right? These guys offer challenges that I think Bama hasn't faced yet. You look at Terrence Marshall, who's a big, strong, physical receiver who can catch the ball in traffic and who's really, really good in the red zone. I think he's a guy that it's going to bring a challenge to Patrick Surtain, who really hasn't even been tested all this season. So we can see him. We can see Eric Gilbert, a former Bama target who didn't get really tested as far as getting a lot of targets. He could be a guy against linebackers. What's been one of the biggest issues for Alabama? The tight end position, and especially the running back coming off the backfield. Eric Gilbert's going to offer a challenge that they haven't seen since Yeboah from Ole Miss. And then you're right, there's a lot of these other younger receivers that are going to test Alabama's secondary as far as, once again, back to open field tackling. So every week is going to offer a certain challenge, not just the offensive side of the ball, but the defensive side of the ball as well. I just want to talk about this other thing too, Kyle. Our punting game is not good. I'm sorry. We talk about J.K. Scott And he's one of my favorite players. He has missed because I'm tired of seeing 25, 30-yard kick. I can't stand it. Maybe he can improve, but that's going to cost us. That punting game when it comes to field position is going to cost us, Kyle.
Yeah, I mean, you look at the punting situation. It's actually been it's improved a small margin under Charlie Scott, the brother of J.K. Scott. He had 4 punts tonight, 152 yards. Average was 38. I think the other guy is averaging like 36. Tonight, Charlie Scott had a longest of 46, one inside the 20. But yeah, if Alabama has to flip the field, don't count on Charlie Scott to do it. And I have no idea what happened to Ty Perine. I mean, it's like. You guys know, you guys have seen the press conferences. Like every time they ask Saban about him, he's like, he doesn't, hardly knows who the kid is. I don't know. There's something behind it. Otherwise, he'd be playing. Final thought, Jarek, as we head to the end of the show.
Yeah, offensively, I felt like we had a pretty solid first half. I thought in the second half we were, second half, I think we were trying to find our groove. I felt like Mississippi State made some great adjustments of really taking the over-top seam and really trying to force us underneath. But it seems like they were kind of taking those away too. We talk about Jalen Waddle's impact, and Waddle is the most explosive receiver in all of college football. We all know how big of a vertical threat is, but he's also very huge underneath. He's very huge underneath. So he gives defenses headaches, and it's hard to kind of scheme against that offense when you have three players that can do everything on the football field. I think with that threat being taken away, and now you can just worry about Slade Bolden. You worry about his presence. He's not really a deep vertical threat. I feel like defenses will kind of game plan as far as their difficulty goes. It's a little bit easier, I feel like, for defenses to kind of game plan Alabama's receiving core. Like you kind of saw that Slade Bolden didn't have any huge numbers, Mechie didn't have any huge numbers, and it was a good part because of Mississippi State's defense. But when they left Devontae Smith on an island, that's the huge mistake. When you leave him on an island, Devontae Smith is going to take advantage of that opportunity most of the time, which is exactly why he had such a huge night before. It's going to be very interesting to see what LSU does next week because they had a capable cornerback in Garrett Stingley that can lock down any top target in the country. So it's going to be very interesting what they do with Mechie, what they do with Bolden. I did see Billingsley out there, who's more of that speed vertical type of tight end. It'll be interesting to see if they'll get him more involved. I would love to see Javon Baker. We saw him a little bit in the fourth quarter, but I would love to see some of these Alabama playmakers kind of step up a little bit and kind of reestablish why this receiving core is so dangerous and why they can cause defensive coordinators to get headaches instead of making defensive coordinators making their job a little bit more easier to scheme against and take away Devontae Smith.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, great stuff. I mean, I think you hit, the nail on the head, talking about the defense and especially kind of, going into the LSU game, which remember is in 2 weeks, not next week, as Alabama has that bye week this week. So then, Alabama will be on the road in their next game to Baton Rouge. But I appreciate it, Jarek. Good call to end the night. Thank you so much for everything that you bring from a schematic standpoint. And we'll definitely wrap next time. Okay, Jarek?
Yep, for sure, man.
All right. Thank you so much. Appreciate it, man. Love when Jarek calls in from Buffalo. All right, fam. Well, thank you so much for joining me tonight. I really appreciate that you guys would give me some time after Alabama defeats Mississippi State 41-0. My name is Kyle Henderson of BamaInsider.com. I hope you guys enjoyed the show. Put all I got into it, just about 2-hour show. So really appreciate everyone being here. Definitely hit the thumbs up. I'm working on a couple other projects right here on our YouTube channel. So definitely stay tuned for that. Like and subscribe. And of course, all the coverage back at BamaInsider.com. I hope you have a beautiful Sunday with your family. I hope you had a wonderful, Saturday, Halloween. It's Nick Saban's birthday. I was calling it a national holiday just to honor the GOAT. Make time for the loved ones on Sunday. We always appreciate, what our past and, our military members do for our great country. So, it's a great place certainly to live. So thank you very, very much for joining us, and we'll catch you guys soon on BamaInsider.com. Good night, everyone.